We all know former supermodel Kathy Ireland from her 2 decades of modeling. She is also a business leader, a CEO. What you may not know is she's a mental health advocate, has been for years. Kathy teamed up with other industry leaders to create a new documentary. It's called Anxious Nation. It's a raw, unfiltered look at what countless families go through. Here's part of it.
He said, "No one understands me. What's wrong with me? Why don't I feel normal?" And that's a terrible question to get when you're tucking your child in bed at night.
I would say that in the richest country in the world, we are truly failing our young people.
I spoke with Kathy Ireland and co-director and producer Laura Morton, whose family, which includes her 14-year-old daughter, they're featured in the documentary. Kathy Ireland says this problem can't be ignored. It must be addressed.
Susan, I have never seen anxiety rise to the exponential, alarming levels that they are today. And so when my dear friend, Laura Morton, and colleague, Laura is a New York Times bestselling author of 21 books, over 60 books this incredible woman has written. And when I learned about this project that Laura was working on with Academy Award winning director Vanessa Roth, and when I understood how she was reaching families, my question was, how can I help?
Did the teens and the kids involved in the documentary, it seemed like when I watched it, they were willing to open up and discuss, saying, look, this is what I'm going through.
Yeah, there wasn't a big issue with getting people to want to participate in this film. I think that once you bring the topic up, and you might find this, Susan, now that you've watched the movie, but once you bring the topic up, people want to talk about it. They need to talk about it. And we started filming in 2019 before the pandemic.
Wow.
And, COVID came along and just poured gasoline all over an already burning inferno. So I just think that especially coming out of COVID and that isolation and that loneliness and that disconnection that we all experienced, I think that there's such a need for connection. Mm-hmm. And even if it's talking about your anxiety, that is a way to connect. And I was really amazed at how open and courageous our kids and families are and were in this film. I could not have been any more proud of my own daughter, of our mm-hmm. family. We really didn't want to be the filmmakers. We wanted to be another, family that's coping with this. And, I learned so much from each and every person that we interviewed, not just our experts, but the kids and their parents. And I saw a lot of myself in all of those stories. And I've always felt that if I can see myself in a project that I work on, I know so many others will too.
Do you think there's a facade out there, at least what we project maybe on Instagram or the highlight reel of our lives, so to speak, that once you start saying, hey, life isn't perfect, this is what we're all going through, Kathy? Did you see that during the making of this documentary?
Yes, something that I think is so powerful about this documentary is at a time when everyone is Facebook, Instagram, perfect looking, retouched lives. This is raw, it's genuine. These families are letting you into their lives to experience what they're going through. And I believe it gives a lot of hope and a lot of comfort. And it's so well done. It's genuine, and people are hungry for that, and it's necessary.
Having access to mental health help is difficult.
Well, there's a lot of barriers to entry when it comes to getting help. One, there's a cost factor, which is unfortunate, but more importantly, there's a manpower problem. There just isn't enough people to handle the demand, particularly on college campuses. It's, the average wait time on a college campus to get an intake appointment, and this was before COVID, was 3 to 12 weeks. And then most college campuses will limit the number of sessions that these kids can have. And it's really doing, more harm than good, because if you're really in crisis, waiting 12 weeks for an intake appointment could be the difference between life and death.
Kathy, in your experience and everything you've done for mental health, if someone, let's say, breaks their leg, they don't have to wait 12 weeks to get the help they need.
Exactly. No, it's critically important. This film shines a giant, brilliant light on the need of what people are suffering through. And one of the businesses that we're working in is telemedicine, an amazing partner, a man named Art Cooksey, who is so committed to really helping people deal with mental health in an affordable way through telemedicine. Let's Talk Interactive. Programs like this are essential so that people, wherever they live, are able to get help and to get it quickly. And what Anxious Nation does is it alerts us to what we're going through. And when families are in despair, when they are suffering and they don't know what to do, they're in it day in and day out. This film, it is so well done. Laura, what you have done with this film is just phenomenal. And I believe this will have such a huge positive impact on families and give hope and really a lot of healing that is desperately needed.
I agree. And opening up the conversation, as you mentioned, after seeing it, I called my sister and said, you have to see that. I mean, it's just that well done. It's a must see. And I want to thank you both for everything you've done and continue to do. Nice to meet you both.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you,
for having
Susan.
us.